in the name of personal injury law.
We all know we buy something called auto no-fault insurance, and we may have also heard about how the no-fault insurance laws have been changed. There's so much about the no-fault insurance that it seems complicated. That's why we're happy to have personal injury attorney Steve Sinas back with us today to explain some of the specific aspects of our no-fault insurance system that we may have heard about but really don't understand. Steve, thanks for being with us today.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, the aspects of the no fault insurance system that we want to talk about today are the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association and the assigned claims plan. Steve, what about these complicated sounding entities and how they affect people injured in car crashes?
Well, the first thing to understand is that they're completely different entities. Okay. So we have the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association. We're going to talk about what that does. And we have the assigned claims plan. So people hear about the two, and in my experience, they often confuse them, but they're completely separate. So I think we should talk about them separately.
Well, let's start with the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association.
All right. So some of us may have heard about this entity and we don't know what it means or what it does. So the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association is a reinsurance fund. So people, when they hear about the MCCA, that's the acronym that they use for it, they should think reinsurance. And in terms of what it's reinsuring people's lifetime medical care that they're entitled to under our Michigan No Fault Insurance Act. So the way this really works, and the way it's worked historically with our no fault system, is that someone is injured. They typically turn to their own insurance company for their medical expenses that they need covered through Michigan no fault insurance, and their insurance company pays their claim. But after a certain amount of money, and right now it's about $550,000, after their insurance company pays that amount of money, any amounts they pay over and above that get reimbursed and ultimately paid by the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association. So that's where it's a reinsurance fund. It goes in and pays back the insurer for any amounts over and above that. I should note, though, that not everyone under the 2019 reforms will have that lifetime coverage I was talking about. But prior to the reforms, everyone did. Now people have to choose their lifetime coverage in order to keep their right to that type of coverage going forward.
Exactly. So, how does the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association get its money to pay over the $550,000 that the insurance companies are already paying?
Yeah. So with regard to how that works, if everyone looks at their insurance declaration page, which is that one sheet you get from your insurance company that explains your premiums, you'll see a line item for the MCCA. And so they charge us all an assessment fee. They've been charging us that for years. They now have over $20 billion in their reinsurance fund, given the money they've taken in from all of us and also invested it, things of that nature. But they have this huge amount of money that ultimately has come from us, Michigan motorists.
Well, that's helpful. Thank you, Steve. And now explain, can you, the assigned claims plan?
Okay, so with regard to the assigned claims plan, what people need to think about is a situation where an individual is injured in an auto accident. They're not disqualified from no-fault benefits, which you can be in certain situations. But let's say they're not. So they're injured, you're entitled to benefits, but you don't have your own insurance policy, and there isn't an insurance policy in your household. In that situation, especially under the 2019 reforms, most of those people are going to end up claiming benefits through the assigned claims plan. And so let's talk about what that plan is all about. It's this plan that exists where people file a claim. They technically file it with this entity known as the Michigan Auto Insurance Placement Facility. And then that facility takes in the claim, and then they assign it to an insurance company that actually participates in the assigned claims plan. And with regard to the insurance companies that participate in that plan right now, there are 6 of them. It includes Allstate, AAA, Citizens, Nationwide, Farm Bureau, and Farmers. And so this facility takes in the claim and they randomly assign it to one of those entities. And then that insurance company has to take over the claim and pay it as if it was their own insurance claim, even though they had nothing to do with the person claiming the benefits. So it's a little bit counterintuitive, but that's how it works. And that's how the system deals with those who don't have insurance. There are some important points to make about the 2019 reforms. Prior to the reforms, anybody who had to turn to the plan was able to receive lifetime medical expense coverage through the plan. Now, everyone who turns to the plan is not entitled to lifetime coverage, and in almost all circumstances are going to be capped at $250,000 of medical expenses. So if you're one of these people who are injured in a crash, say you were a pedestrian, maybe a bicyclist, maybe you chose not to have car insurance because you just didn't need it. So you're in that category of people who don't have insurance. You're going to end up most likely claiming benefits through this plan. You're going to have to deal with their procedures and their claim forms, and get the claim properly established. And then once you do, your medical expense coverage is going to be capped at $250,000. If you have medical expenses over and above that amount and you're not at fault, you can maybe pursue the at-fault driver for your uncovered medical expenses, which is also a new feature of our reformed no-fault system.
So it sounds like the people that might be at greatest risk are people who don't have insurance because maybe they don't even have a car, like you said, like a bicyclist who's injured by a vehicle. Wow.
And there are also children out there who are in households that don't have insurance, and under the original law, they had lifetime coverage. Now they turned to the ACP and they're capped at $250,000 of medical expenses, which can be a real heartbreaking piece of information to tell people now under these new laws.
It's really not very much money if you have a serious injury. Medical care is very expensive, right, Steve?
Exactly. It goes by much quicker than you think.
So where does the assigned claims plan get the money from to pay for the $250,000?
The Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association, it ultimately comes from the people of Michigan, but it's not as explicit. If you look on your declaration page, you're not going to see a fee that is associated with the ACP. It's baked into the cake, so to speak. The amount you pay your insurance company includes an amount that goes to the ACP, and that actually funds the plan so that it can pay these claims as I've just described.
And all the insurance companies who provide auto insurance in Michigan fund the plan, not just the 6 who are participating as the actual insurers, right?
That's a great point, and that is correct. And ultimately, I'll just leave you with this. Michigan no-fault insurance is not intuitive. There are these entities that exist. You have to understand how they work, and then you also have to understand how they affect your rights as an injured person.
Steve, thank you so much for this really informative session today, and hopefully we'll have more information going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
In the Name of Personal Injury Law is brought to you by the Sinas Law Firm.